We weren't just wealthy. We were the kind of rich that made people stop and stare. Our estate stretched over 200 acres in Texas Hill Country, complete with rolling fields, a vineyard, and our most unique asset, a private ostrich farm. Lauren had insisted on them. She had seen them once on a trip to South Africa and decided they were exotic, elegant, powerful creatures. She had always loved things that made people jealous. I gave her everything. A sprawling mansion. A fleet of luxury cars. More money than she could spend in a lifetime. And in return, I expected one thing. Loyalty. The whole mess started with a phone call at sunrise. I had just poured my first coffee when my ranch manager, Hank, called. "Mr. Calloway, we've got a problem. One of the ostriches is hurt real bad." That was enough to jolt me awake. These birds were worth tens of thousands each. If something happened, I needed to know. I grabbed my boots, threw on a jacket, and rushed outside. What I saw made my stomach turn. Apollo, my prize male ostrich, was lying on his side, his massive legs kicking weakly, his beak opening and closing in distress. "Jesus," I muttered, kneeling beside him. "What happened?" Hank scratched his head, his face dark with confusion. "That's the thing, sir. We checked the cameras. It wasn't a coyote. It wasn't a fence break." He hesitated. "What?" I pressed. Hank exhaled. "Someone was in the enclosure last night. And not one of us." I stiffened. I turned to look at the fence. Sure enough, there were boot prints in the dirt, leading in and out. Someone had been here. Someone who had no business being here. I stormed back into the house, my boots tracking dirt across the pristine marble floors. Lauren was sitting at the kitchen island, sipping on some imported French tea, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. I slammed my hands down on the counter. "Who was here last night?" She barely flinched. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice perfectly even. I narrowed my eyes. Someone was on the property. They went into the enclosure and scared Apollo so bad that he nearly broke his damn leg. And I know it wasn't one of my guys. She blinked, then set her tea down. "I don't know anything about that." A lie. A blatant lie. Her voice was too smooth. Too prepared. And I wasn't the kind of man who ignored warning signs. For the next few days, I let it simmer. But something in my gut told me this wasn't just some idiot trespassing. So I started watching. Lauren had always been careful. She played the role of devoted wife flawlessly, smiling at charity events, hosting lavish dinner parties, posting perfectly curated photos of our life online. But beneath the surface, I started seeing cracks. She left the house at odd hours, always with some half-hearted excuse. And then, there was the wine. I had built a state-of-the-art wine cellar beneath our house, stocked with bottles worth more than most people's mortgages. But one night, when I went to grab a bottle for a client dinner, I noticed something. One of the expensive Bordeaux was missing. I frowned, checking the inventory list. Lauren didn't drink Bordeaux. She hated it. So who the hell was drinking my wine? And then it hit me. Someone had been here. I checked the security footage the next morning. And there it was. A black SUV pulling up to our house 2 nights ago. Lauren walking out onto the porch. The door opening. And a man stepping out. Tall. Dark hair. Not someone I recognized. I watched as Lauren greeted him with a lingering kiss. Not a polite kiss. Not a friendly kiss. A kiss that belonged in the dark, behind locked doors. My blood ran cold. I rewound the footage. Watched it again. And again. She had brought him here. To my home. To my estate. To my bed. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted more. I needed to know everything. I hired a private investigator, a man I had used before when business rivals tried to get smart with me. Within 3 days, I had everything I needed. Lauren had been seeing him for over a year. His name was Ryan Carter. A failed investor, drowning in debt, looking for a meal ticket. She had been funding his lifestyle with my money, letting him drink my wine, wear my clothes, and, apparently, play with my goddamn ostriches. I saw red, and I knew exactly how this was going to end. The next night, Lauren told me she was going out with friends. I smiled, kissed her cheek, let her walk out the door. Then, I followed her. She drove straight to him. I parked down the street, watching as she walked into his condo, wearing the same lingerie I had bought her last Christmas. I clenched the steering wheel, my knuckles white. And then, I made a call. To my security team. 2 hours later, Ryan Carter was standing in my wine cellar, zip-tied to one of the metal racks, his eyes wide with fear. Lauren stood beside him, her face pale, her hands shaking. "You have no idea what you've done," I told her, my voice cold. Ethan, please, she started, her voice breaking. I turned to Ryan. You like my house? I asked. He swallowed hard. You like my wine? Silence. You like my wife? He didn't answer. So I grabbed a bottle from the shelf, one of the $1,000 Bordeaux's, and smashed it against the floor next to his head. He flinched. Lauren let out a choked sob. I crouched down, looking him in the eye. You're gonna leave town, I said. Tonight. He nodded quickly. You're gonna cut all contact with her. You're gonna disappear. Another frantic nod. And if you don't? I leaned in closer, my voice a whisper. You won't have to worry about debt collectors anymore. He understood. Good. I turned to Lauren. And you? I said. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Ethan, please, I made a mistake. I let out a bitter laugh. No, sweetheart. You made a choice. I pulled out my phone and hit send. She blinked. What did you do? I smiled. I sent the footage to your parents. Your friends. Every single person who ever thought you were some perfect trophy wife. Her face crumpled. Pack your bags, Lauren, I said, walking toward the stairs. You're done here. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing. And me? I walked away. Because some things aren't worth fixing. Some things are meant to be burned to the ground. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. Please like, share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel.